Okay, good evening. Welcome to our August regular school board meeting. It is Thursday, October 4th, 2022, and it is 6:33 p.m. We will begin with an introduction of board members, starting over here tonight.
Matt Lillibridge, West Gardner.
Nicole Bedore, West Gardner.
Chris McLaughlin, West Gardner.
Veronica Babcock.
Becky Fless.
Tony V. Gardner.
Matt Marshall.
Alyssa Tracy Randolph. Diane Potter.
Jim Lothridge.
Administrative staff.
Pat Hopkins, Superintendent.
Dave Dostey, Director of Operations.
Katie Gould, Principal at Helen Thompson School.
Nicole Barton, Assistant Principal at Helen Thompson. Courtney Dennis, Assistant Principal at the middle school.
Terry McGuire, Director of Technology.
Excellent. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment? Seeing none. Review and approval of agenda minutes, prioritization of items, and alteration to the established agenda format sequence as needed.
Yes,
We
it
have
is needed.
revisions.
This time of year, it is always needed. So we sent out the revised agenda yesterday afternoon. The changes that I'm going to note now have occurred since that posting, okay? Let's see, on page 2, you have general information, new hires 2022, 2023. I would like to add Natalie Brand. Natalie Brand is currently in Ed Tech 2 at Helen Thompson. We're going to transfer her into an Ed Tech 3/long-term sub position for the grade 1, that 1-year position that's available. We are unable to hire any certified teachers.
Thank you. Excuse me.
We're unable to hire any certified teachers for that position. Natalie is just finishing up her degree in elementary education. She's worked for us for years. She's awesome. And so we think that that's a good fit. It will require, just so you know, a waiver through the Department of Education. So I'm working on that. On page 4. Let's see, under F, team leaders at the middle school, we can cross out the vacant position, allied arts. We can add Chelsea Bernier in there. She is going to split that stipend with Stacy Anderson. We have a fall coach for boys soccer, grade 7. That's going to be Ashton Williams. We have a head coach for field hockey at the middle school. That's Jamie Perret. We just this afternoon, about 3 o'clock, I have offered to Erin Overlock a grade 8 science teacher position at the middle school. And that's all that's official in the last 24 hours.
You busy girl.
We are busy.
So I would like to entertain a motion, please, to approve the agenda as altered.
So moved.
Moved by Alyssa, second by Tony. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of minutes of previous meetings. Special board meeting of June 16th. Motion, please,
So moved.
from Tony, second by Diane. Questions, comments, memories? All those in favor? That's wonderful. We accepted the budget. Recognition and celebrations.
Yeah, there's a lot here, actually. At the high school, they received this beautiful plaque. I don't know if you can read it, I'll tell you what it says. It is for the Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study Program. The Gardner Area High School is being recognized by AYUSA and the Department of State. So it's for promoting mutual understanding, intercultural relationships, forming lasting relationships with host families and communities, and peace between the United States of America and the Muslim world. So that is awesome.
That's amazing.
And then, of course, from June, after our last meeting, we had lots and lots of student successes and championships. So at the high school, as you all know, our girls varsity softball team, they were the KVAC champions. They were the Class B South Regional champions, and they were the Class B State champions. They were at Rotary this morning, and I learned that they only have one senior graduating. So they're looking good for next year as well.
We can continue to expect a lot.
Yeah.
Yay.
For Gardner Area High School individual accomplishments, Ryan Giro was the KVAC softball coach of the year. Jen Boudreau was the KVAC medium girls track and field coach of the year. Jackson Boudreau, state champion for medium Class B race walk. Ashlyn Poulin, state champion for medium Class B race walk. And then the Gardner Regional Middle School team accomplishments, we had the girls track and field CAL championship and softball sportsmanship award. So kudos to all of those individuals.
fantastic.
Yeah, it really is remarkable. So,
Fantastic. Yep, job well done. Next. Correspondence. As written.
As written, you can see we have received just a number of letters of resignations. This dates back to June, the list that you have.
Okay. So we have a letter of retirement from Ms. Diana Dion Meringue. We should publicly thank her for 50 years of service within the district. Yeah, long time, a lot of dedication. And committee reports.
No, none. This agenda states a curriculum committee meeting for June 14th, but that was already reported out on
Yes,
by
yep,
Matt.
yep,
so.
it was at the 16th meeting.
Yep.
Ad hoc Hope Field Committee, we met today, and the bulk of the conversation was around the recognition wall, figuring out how many squares we need, the size, the layout, what that's going to look like. We need still to have the building removed. That's promised for next week. So we're looking forward to that. And the Boosters is buying a new fryolator, and a metal crusher is coming to take away the fryolator that's in there and perhaps to crush the old pizza shack. So there's some crushing that's going to happen. And some, I know, I'd like to participate, and some grinding of stumps that's going to happen because there's too many utilities underneath the ground. So we're gonna do some stump grinding. Maybe Gabe would allow us to help with that, if anyone needs to expend energy. If you haven't gone and driven down by the field, you should, and go just see the amazing amounts of work that's been done. And it looks really quite beautiful. So they've done
Yeah,
a lot
that
of work.
island
Mhm.
down by the modular is gone.
It's gone.
And there's all reclaim down there now.
Mhm.
It looks fantastic. Once the modular leaves, then a new fence will be coming in, and it will be pushed closer towards the field, down by the buildings. And that will help create handicap parking on this side of the fence.
Yeah,
So,
so we're hoping to add some handicap parking and
Mhm.
do new fence, new gate, entrance in there.
So big things happening. So that was today. Yeah. General information.
yeah, general information. These are all the new hires who are ed techs, custodians, bus drivers, those type of support positions.
And we need a vote, yes?
No, I have.
Because we gave you
the
the
hire.
yes, so we don't need to do anything till you've taken that away from you.
No, you will officially hire your professional staff,
Yep,
and that will be shortly.
shortly coming up here. Turn the page. Staff transfers.
Yeah, we have a lot of transfers. A
we
number
do.
of teachers are shifting from around the building or from one building to another. So we are looking forward to these changes. I think it's exciting, and they certainly will bring a lot of experience and talent to their new positions.
Are these changes that happened before the end of school, that were scheduled before?
No, most of these actually happened during the summer or shortly after last board meeting, like Julian, and that happened in June. I think Stephanie Kim, that happened, I think the end of June, beginning of July. Jeff Luth, that is new. Ryan Avery, that's this week, where he transferred from grade 7 to, from grade 8 to grade 7. And Chelsea Bernier, I think that decision was made yesterday.
Okay. It's a moving target here.
It is definitely a moving target.
Okay, department chairs as written,
Mhm.
co-curricular also, and fall coaches. All right. There's a lot.
Yes.
So very many.
Yes.
Team leaders as written.
Mhm.
All right, nominations.
And
Here we
fall
are.
coaches as written
And
at the
fall-
middle
yep,
school,
yep.
right?
Yep.
Yes, nominations. So here we are with nominations. I'm really excited. As you previously just stated, as a reminder, the board was giving me the authority to issue contracts during the summer, for which I am appreciative. We have had people apply for jobs at night, and in the morning, we've reached out and they're already hired elsewhere. Literally. So having the ability to issue a contract has been essential this
Yeah.
summer. So I'm really pleased to kick us off with two new administrators who are both here this evening. We have Nicole Barton, who will be filling the one-year position at the Helen Thompson School as Assistant Principal Instructional Support. Many of you may recognize Nicole. Nicole previously served last year as our math instructional coach. So while we will really miss her in that position, we're excited for her to move into an administrative position. And then Hope St. Dennis, again, many of you probably know Hope. Hope has worked in the district for over 20 years, right? And she is going to be the new assistant principal at the middle school. We're really excited. So I do have those two nominations, and I guess I would ask that maybe you take them separately from the teaching staff. Because you do officially now, after the fact. approve.
After the fact. right?
After the fact,
So I make
yes.
a motion for the new hires for administrators. That's right.
I'll
Thank
second that.
And second by Matt. Questions or comments? Drilling for either of them? Now's the time.
Hard work pays off.
August.
Hard work pays off. Yeah,
Are we getting a replacement math coach?
there you go.
We have advertised so far unsuccessfully.
That might affect my vote.
Angela is working behind the scenes to creatively try to provide those supports for our staff. But it will probably have to look differently than it does this year.
Never seen it. Good thought.
It's
Any other
my own
questions?
self-interest.
It's okay, you can do that. You have a job. All those in favor? Motion carries. And he voted yes. You're the man. All right. Other new hires.
Okay, so I'll try to go through this so it's made public. We have Shaughnessy Leclerc. Shaughnessy Leclerc is going to fill the one-year ESSER-funded position, social studies at the middle school. She is coming to us from New York, but has just moved to Maine. We have Linda Miles. You may recognize that name. Linda retired from MSAD11 a little over a year ago, and she has agreed to come back part-time since we're really struggling to find speech therapists. So she will work for us for 1 year at the high school and the middle school. We have Lori Babino. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. I didn't do the interview. It was done by Angela. She's going to be the new elementary art teacher at Helen Thompson and Laura E. Richards. So I hear she's wonderful. We have Tabitha Johnston, who will be a grade 4 teacher at Helen Thompson. We have Megan Abbott, who will be the new social worker at the middle and the high school, 6 through 8. What this doesn't say, and it should say, is it's a 1-year. No, it's not a 1-year position. I think that we filled, let me think. No, it's a 1-year position. It's a 1-year position through ESSER funds. Okay, because remember, we had a person in there for 2 years and that person shifted to the STARS program. So that leaves that vacancy. So Alyssa Craig as the new special ed teacher in our STEPS program, which is the autism program at Helen Thompson. She is full of energy. She is going to be amazing. And she's a personal chef. So Helen Thompson is in for a treat. I'm going to go over and have my lunches there with you guys.
Let's go have some lunch.
And she is also from New York. Originally, has just lived in Maine for 2 or 3 years. We have Lori Tranton, who will be the new English language arts teacher in grade 7 at the middle school. Patricia Sims, who is also going to be an English language arts teacher at the middle school for grade 8. We have Sarah Crane, who'll be grade 5 teacher at Riverview. We have Melissa Winchester, who is going to be filling that 1-year ESSER social worker position at LER. Rachel Robinson, grade 3 teacher at Riverview. And as I said earlier, Erin Overlock, who will be the new science teacher in grade 8 at the middle school. So I put forth those nominations, and just so you know, I'll give you under my report an update on staffing so that you know where we all stand. Okay. Motion to
Pat, now-
accept.
Oops, sorry.
Oh.
So every elementary school has a social worker now.
Yes, for next year. Yes. That's great.
I move to accept the professional staff as a bundle.
Yes.
Thank you, Tony. Second, Matt, questions or comments?
I have one quick one. You talk about the 1-year position ESSER funds.
Mhm.
How's that going to impact us in the out years?
Well, as we talked about during the budget, we'll have to
Figure it
decide.
out?
We'll have to decide what we want to do in future years.
Okay.
Take all those and add them up and see, right, yeah.
I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Yep, that's where we're at. All those in favor? Motion carries. Administrative stipends?
Yes, the following administrative stipends, as a reminder, Angela Hardy serves as assistant superintendent when I am away. And her stipend is $5,314. It is tied to her salary. We have Alicia Morris, who serves as the McKinney-Vento liaison and the English language learners liaison. That stipend combined is $5,000. We have Terry McGuire, the affirmative action officer, Title I officer. I don't mean Title I, Title IX officer. Last year, we increased her stipend from 1,000 to 4,000 because of the increasing demand. That is taking a lot of her time. And then again, Terry McGuire, as the individual who now needs to attend all board meetings and subcommittees to run the Zoom meeting and the video production. And you gave her a stipend of 5,000. So I do need to have all of those officially approved by the board.
Jim?
So moved.
Second.
Second from Melissa. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion
Thank you.
carries. No old business, but we do have some new business.
We have lots of new business. So first of all, let me start by talking with you about Impact 2032. So I'm not sure if any of you have heard of Impact 2032.
Excuse me.
Okay. All right. So what it is, it's a 10-year goal-setting process for Kennebec County that includes a long-term vision for health, education, and financial stability. So this is really a roadmap, and I gave you a copy of it. It should be in your folder if you want to look at it. So for the past year, the United Way of Kennebec Valley has led a process to establish these 3 visions that will move our county and its people forward. More than 70 leaders from the public, private, and nonprofit sectors have worked together for more than a year to collect and sift through data and feedback from community members. Just so you know, a listening session was held here last fall. I think we talked about it in this meeting. It was held at the Gardner Fire Department. Becky and I attended. And I also served on the council on that committee that helped oversee this work. So I've worked with them for about the last year and a half. So here's a snapshot of the 3 visions, and this is what you have. So the one vision is for health, and it's that all people, that people will participate in healthy behaviors and take advantage of health and prevention services. That is being measured over the 10 years by years of potential life lost. The vision for education is that people will have access to quality early learning experiences prior to kindergarten, and that's going to be measured by the 4th grade reading scores. Specifically for education, and I'm sharing it because we're an educational board, really looking at opportunities to develop literacy and language skills to support school readiness, resources needed to promote their social and emotional development, and basic health and safety needs met to be ready for learning. The last vision is that people will have employment opportunities, income, and resources to achieve financial stability. That is being measured by the percentage of households paying more than 30% of their income for housing. So Kennebec County-based school districts, all nonprofits and businesses are being asked simply to sign a statement of endorsement for these visions, saying that you agree that these are great goals or visions moving forward, and that you will consider how we can make a difference to help these visions be implemented and how to help move forward. So if you approve it, when the endorsement is provided back or sent back, a meeting would be scheduled probably with me to kind of talk about what steps we can take and to identify the steps we've already taken. Clearly, we already do a lot in the terms of education, but also in work development as an organization that will help the Impact 2032 to achieve its vision. I fully endorse this and strongly recommend that the board vote to officially do the same. I mean, a lot of the work that we're doing supports these efforts. And as you look through some of these, one of the things in here, you know, they're really talking about like under education, support childcare providers. It's a conversation I hope for us to have at some point. I'm not sure if you are aware, our MSAD11 community lost 4 daycare providers this year. We have families that are really struggling to find daycare. You all know, I mean, we've talked about it before, that I spend a lot of time with superintendent's agreements, open enrollment transfers. Usually between the two, I'm touching somewhere around 200 a year or so. And this year, I've really been in a position where I've had to approve agreements based solely on the availability of daycare. It's not about the quality of education, it's really about daycare. And if they are unable to secure daycare in MSAD11, then I have allowed them to attend another community school where they actually have daycare secure. So not necessarily something that I want to do, but it's a real problem. And so as a school district, I would like for us to be able to discuss whether there's something we can do in terms of an after-school program, before-school program? Is there days, some sort of daycare just for our staff only, maybe, because that would certainly lessen the load on some of our local daycares. So I do think when we think about Impact 2032, there are small things that we can do. There are big things that we could potentially do. Not everything will have a cost to it. But I believe that we should participate with the county in this visioning process. So I guess I'll stop talking and open it up for questions or comments.
Is there any chance that in the future, because of this need, that just like there was a need for pre-K, that there will be some federal or state dollars that will come eventually? Is there any conversation that you've heard anywhere about that?
No, I have not heard a conversation about that in terms of daycare, but one conversation that we could engage in, and I know that we really do need to at some point, Nicole, that would benefit
Exactly what she's
daycare
gonna say.
providers, and the pressure on daycare providers would be to shift our half-day pre-K program to full day.
Right.
There is an initiative, there is push for that.
And
Unfortunate, and money supposedly, but the money really wouldn't benefit our community, I don't believe. We'd have to look at that. But because through your ED 279, every student is already counted as a full day student, even though they're half-time. So if you expand to full day, you're going to incur the cost of having to hire 3 additional teachers, 3 additional ed techs, but we already receive full compensation, so you're not going to receive really any money for it,
Right.
yeah. But I think it is certainly a conversation that we need to have.
Do we even have the room to accommodate a full day program?
That's the other thing too, that we would need to discuss. Now, we've moved some programs around. So there is the possibility we could find a little space, but I haven't investigated that yet, Jim, but that's part of the process.
Do you suppose the half day versus full day is why, when I look at the numbers, only 48% of 4-year-olds actually attend pre-K? That's kind of like
it's
surprising.
not required either. Are you?
And if you look at
Right,
the
it's
back,
not universal.
the goal they had for Vision for Education was to have access to quality learning experiences prior to kindergarten. So if I go in full day, do you think that number increases?
Yes, I do.
Matt, you had a question?
I mean, by endorsing this, it's supporting positive change and everything.
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
There's a lot of data stuff here. I mean, everything's based on data.
Yes, it is.
I wonder where they're getting their data.
They can tell you where they're getting the data. I have the resources in a document. They have that all identified and captured, but all of their data was well researched. They struggled a little bit, truthfully, with trying to find the data for education and find that that baseline measurement. So they reached out to our district, since I'm serving on that council, and Angela is such an expert that Angela ended up being a resource, and they kind of altered what they originally thought they were going to do, and they shifted to this based on her recommendation.
So cost could be nominal, or it could be like, yeah, we're bringing in several new positions, so there could be that.
If that's what you chose to do, the expectation is not that you will incur a cost.
Okay.
It's
The outside.
that you're going to endorse the vision
Right.
that they have, and that you are going to do what you can to help them accomplish or meet that vision. It does not necessarily mean money. It doesn't mean that you have to add money to your budget.
Right.
I do see where it lines up
Interesting.
with, obviously, education we're already doing, health is really part of our curriculum. I see where it lines up, and so I would really support this.
Yeah,
if you bring that.
well, I appreciate that. There's also the item of income,
Right.
right? And so as we think about some of the conversations that we're currently having regarding alternative pathways for our high school students to earn credit, that is going to assist them, right?
Yeah.
In developing skills, potentially ensuring that all students have the potential to graduate, which will help lead to opportunities for increased income, diplomas, et cetera. So we, what we can do does not align solely with the education vision,
Right.
you know?
Teresa?
So I'm just, I don't understand how this would impact us financially.
It would not
The
necessarily.
state's gonna do this.
No.
Like, so one thing I'm looking at is, oral healthcare. I was an office manager for a dental practice. I know any person, and it's all income based, that is on main care gets free dental. I know that for a fact. I know there aren't a lot of dentists that take main care because of the payback is so low. But how are we going to encourage the parents to take their children to the dentist? Because I saw that as a problem. And also, not every parent education at home before school. I mean, there's a lot of kids that don't even know their numbers when they're coming into kindergarten. So how would that impact that? They would have schooling before 4 years old to prepare them for their 4-year-old program, or?
No, not necessarily. This, you know, in terms of informing parents about dental service, that could come from local physicians, right? It comes from their pediatric doctor. That wouldn't necessarily even come from the school.
Well, main care actually has a program where if you are on main care, they hire somebody that calls the parent and then calls the dentist and asks if Bobby came to his dentist appointment.
Okay,
So they do have that with main care. And I think, like you said, your pediatrician would encourage you to go to a dentist.
right. What this is it's a county-wide vision that was created along with the United Way, serving as the catalyst for that. And they worked with nonprofits, with schools, with businesses. And they reached out to the community. They held community conversations. They did surveys, they collected all of this data, and this is the summary of some of the data that they've collected. They've used it to create these visions. And all that they're asking is that we support and endorse the vision, and that we will do what we can to move forward, to push forward those visions. It doesn't mean that we're going to have to incur a cost. That's a local decision as to whether we want to or not. I would meet with the individuals and discuss the things that we're already doing. And can we strengthen some of those measures to help push forward the vision? So I'm not sure if I've answered your question.
Yeah, you have.
Okay.
I just know that, just being in that field, and we used to, I don't know if they still allow it or not. The dentist or hygienist would come into the school, into kindergarten, and teach the kids how to brush their teeth, show them, give them all a toothbrush. I don't know if that still.
I don't think that there are enough dentists that do that. Prior to the pandemic, we had, I don't remember the name. We had an individual, a woman from Winthrop, I believe is where she lived, and she had a mobile dental unit, and she went around to all of the school districts in the area, and she would spend a week at each of our buildings providing free dental care to many of our students who were
Wonderful.
recommended. And yeah, she did phenomenal work.
Yep.
We
So-
need organizations like this in the community.
No, we really
that
do.
focus On
Absolutely.
things that we're not necessarily focused on directly, indirectly we are, but
And
Right.
to look at it from that 30,000 foot
view,
view,
right,
right? Because
yeah.
we're just focused on our district and our needs. And so to be able to really step back and look at the county needs and how can we work collaboratively to accomplish the same vision? We don't need to work individually. We can really work together and accomplish it. So as a school district, maybe there is a goal that we come up with that meets the vision, and we could do that collaboratively with RSU2, with Augusta, with, any other school.
the other great thing is you don't necessarily see a lot of efforts like this from the county level. You see it from the local level and the state level,
Right.
but it's really nice. It's sort of a fresh air to see. it
And
from the
healthy
county
kids make good students.
Absolutely,
Yeah, they do.
absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm always impressed with the things we do here, and that's under your leadership, Pat, but I think we benefit from networking with all these
Yeah.
organizations
All these
too.
other
We'll all learn
organizations,
something,
absolutely.
right? So,
Yep.
excellent, yeah, very good.
I think it's great.
Have we have had after-school programs before in our gyms and things, haven't we?
We have after-school programs. We do not have after-school daycare.
So like clubs and stuff of a
Yeah.
certain age or something, right?
I think
Different.
a lot of people would love that.
Oh, man. Yeah.
They certainly would. I know they would.
It would be really helpful for the
I have a
community.
question.
Yeah.
Convenient Title I don't know how much money we get for that, or what the Title I program is. But I had worked for a company in New York. And our Title I was after-school program. We would hire the teachers that wanted to teach. The company paid them because it was just because the schools were rated. So if you were rated as a failing school, you had 3 years to bring your school up to level. So instead of doing the Title I, like the kids had pulled from the classroom, the Title I was after-school programs that offered a healthy snack, and they were tutored in math and reading, and they were scored. There were also online websites where they could do extra work. And again, we hired the teachers in the schools, which gave them, a nice extra income, and they knew the children. And we saw a lot of schools, their grades went way up.
Our Title I is, we do not have enough money with our Title I funding to cover our entire Title I program as it is. It is now, a portion of it is being locally funded because the federal government has not increased at the level that we need. And our funds do go to support our elementary title program in literacy and in math. Is it a pull-out program? Yes, or a push-in. We've worked very hard using the MTSS, the multi-tiered system of support, and RTI to provide students who are in need additional support outside of the regular classroom instructional time.
So there's no grants we can apply for with the government.
I don't know of any grants, and truthfully, I don't have time to apply for a grant for that. I mean, I'm just being truthful. Our office is so shorthanded now, and our business office is already responsible for all of the money that we receive for ESSER through the pandemic, that we are not at a place where we can currently, we don't have the capacity to do that.
Then I have one more question. So the Boys and Girls Club is nonprofit,
Yes,
but why do they charge if they're nonprofit?
you'll have to ask the Boys and Girls Club. I mean, I'm not privy to how they entirely operate, but just because they're nonprofit doesn't mean they don't have expenses.
Right.
So they have grants. They actually work collaboratively with the school district to hire some of our teachers. But they don't make a profit as a business, but they do have salaries to pay. They have health insurance, they have operational costs. So in order to do that, I assume that they would absolutely have to charge a cost or a fee rather. To
Maybe
cover
it's
those
just the
expenses.
bigger cities that don't have to charge.
I don't know what their funding mechanism is
Right.
here, but they do not receive, to my knowledge, they do not receive enough funding from the towns to be able to cover all of the expenses required to run their programs. But that's a question for Ingrid.
Yeah, because that would be nice if they could offer something.
They already do offer stuff, but it comes down to capacity, right?
Transportation and
Yeah.
logistics.
So-
Yeah, yeah.
So
So you
you-
need a motion?
You'd like a
Yes.
motion to accept or to buy into this.
I would.
All right, is there a motion?
I would move that we, support the Impact 2032 programming as described by the superintendent.
Second that.
Second by Matt. Other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Great, thank you.
Great, motion carries.
Okay, next is another idea.
We got folders today, I'm scared.
Wow.
Color
Great.
these folders. Smart though.
All right, so I'm just trying to keep myself a little organized. There's a lot going on right now. So back in June, I think it was, I called Becky afterwards. I happened to be in a meeting. And I was listening to this presentation from someone who oversees what's called the Education Action Forum. And the mission of that organization, they're based out of Portland, is to provide a forum for creative collaboration among stakeholders to enable an ongoing renewal of education in Maine to meet the common and diverse needs of children, families, education professionals, and communities in Maine now and in the future. And what they're doing is they are leading a statewide community research and engagement project called Maine ED 2050. And what they're trying to do is to bring community members, industries, educators, and youth together to discuss how education and schooling can be designed for personal, civic, and economic thriving in the next few decades. So what they're doing is that they are using small group conversations with the use of very powerful artificial intelligence technology that is being designed, that's been designed through MIT. So,
Oh, I remember this. I got emails about this.
oh, did you? Okay, so what
Yes.
they're going to be doing is that they are around the state of Maine, they're trying to pull together these small groups of individuals, say groups of students or community members or parents, and they have a series of questions. And some of the questions are really tailored to community and to school and what should things be looking like? What should school look like over the next number of years? So listening to that and knowing that we put our strategic planning process on the back burner when the pandemic hit, and we've talked about the fact that we need to get that ball rolling. We need to move forward with another strategic planning process. And Angela and I have talked about the potential of doing it in October. Well, after listening to this person, why can't we use this process? Instead of inviting potentially at 80 to 100 people to give up a day, day and a half, 2 days on a weekend to sit together. Instead, if we use this model, we could pull together potentially 10 small group conversations with 6 participants in each for each of our stakeholders. Students, which normally who don't participate in strategic planning, staff, again, often very few participate because they're taking the weekend after working all week, parents, community members, that we could do it in a way that would give the opportunity for 240 individuals to contribute to help us set the vision for MSAD11. Each session would last no longer than an hour and a half. That is it. And it would be done by this company. They would provide trained facilitators who are trained to facilitate these conversations. They're already pre-designed questions that they've already vetted. And they would record all of the discussions that occur It would be done in a way that is, yep, it's confidential. The names of the individuals participating when they speak would not be released or available. But what they say would be recorded, and it would be compiled by this company as part of this document that we would use to create our strategic plan. And we and others would have the ability to go back into the documents, into the information or the data that's provided, click on the comments that people make and hear in real time what they said and how they responded to a particular question. So you can get the context in which they provided a response, which could be incredibly beneficial. So the company would help us identify important themes, create an analysis, and provide us with the written conclusion to use. If we do this, we would be the first school district in the state of Maine to use this technology and to really approach strategic planning in this manner. All of this could take about 4 to 6 weeks that they could pull together these, it would be 40 different small conversations. If we get that many people to sign up, okay, that would kind of be the cap. So this is extremely expensive to be able to use this artificial technology. It's really expensive. So in working with this company, given what we're trying to do, she's gotten the cost down to $20,000. Now, we have budgeted $6,000 for some strategic planning process stuff. We can probably locate another $4,000, but that leaves us short about $10,000. Right now, Angela and I are currently exploring some outside funding to help cover that gap, that $10,000 gap. I think I can secure pretty easily a couple $1,000s in an outside trust. Angela's working with someone else to identify some additional funds. If we are unable to fill that gap, what probably we would need to do is go back to the company and say, our idea of doing 240 people is probably too much, and we just have to step back and maybe not have 40 groups, maybe have 30 groups or 20 groups instead of what I am hoping to accomplish. So I'm here to kind of present this to you as an idea. Becky participated in a meeting with the executive director and myself and Angela. I don't know if you want to say anything. I mean, I find it to be really exciting.
I think it's really fascinating. And we can cover such a broad spectrum of individuals, people in poverty, people not in poverty. I mean, I just feel as though we can really reach our community in a way that is completely anonymous, but yet they have a voice. People that maybe never feel as though they have a voice can have a voice. One of the things that we have talked about as far as funding is if there's a couple of these grants that we are looking at, the monies wouldn't necessarily be ready until the spring. And if we could secure some of that, we could front the money as a district, however much it is, not more than 10,000, of course, but if we could front that money and then when we get the grants, put it back. But I just think this way of technology is it's very cutting edge. It's probably going to not appeal to everyone, but the information that we can gather, that we will then own, that we can then use in any number of different ways is just phenomenal. It's a great opportunity, just a really great opportunity. Yes, Jim.
I'm a little confused. How does the AI aspect come into this? Is it generating the questions? Is it digesting the data more so than what a regular computer would do?
Yes.
I don't understand the significance of the AI issue. What are we getting out of it?
That it is recording the comments that individuals are making, and it's recording it. And so it is listening to what they say and recording it in a way that it's still confidential and we
Yes.
can go back and then listen to it afterwards. And MIT, they will, after all of the conversations are recorded, they then go back and check it for accuracy as
Correct.
well to make sure that it makes sense. I mean, how many times do we use our microphone here, right? And half the time it is incorrect, right? It doesn't
Right.
say what we said.
Autocorrect.
And so this technology is just better, more proficient at capturing what people are saying.
Is it going to capture the nuances of how something was said and what the actual feeling is and the intent behind the statement?
Yes.
Is that what we're
That's
looking
what
at?
I understand, yes. Whereas if it was just written down.
To
if it was-
data. is
I mean,
my
I can
guess.
record
Yeah.
anything on my computer.
Sure.
It's just a dumb machine that records, but it, you know, if I can say, I like the way your hair looks today, or I said, I like the way your hair looks today, oh, God. You know what I'm saying? It's the interpretation of the way it was said.
So there will be links that will be provided to us.
Okay.
So we will be able to go in and say, I want to understand what Jim meant and how he said, I like what
I
you're
like-
wearing today,
I like it.
right?
Yeah,
And
that's,
so we can click on that link and listen to someone's comments, so we can really get a sense of the context of what they were saying. And
Well, they-
that's what this will provide
They
to
might
us.
group similar comments together, so you'll get that inflection, right? Or do something like that, yeah. I mean, like state and local governments do it for like, I need a form, you can go ask the AI bot, right? And it goes and finds stuff.
yeah, but that's
That's
not
like
really.
research, but this
AI.
is more, MIT, I'm sure, is gonna use it for something. So that's good to hear you already negotiated the
So who-
price. with
Well,
them.
they did.
They did,
We
yeah.
not. We were
Nice.
just told what it would cost us,
Yeah,
but it was made clear to us that it's definitely an expensive
Oh, yeah.
process.
So who's gonna come up with the topics, let's just say, the things that we are concerned about for the next 20 years?
So they already have the questions. They can modify them a bit if we want to change those, to make them more specific to our district. But a lot of them are open-ended questions such as, let's see, you know, like, please share your first name. They don't accept second names. They don't collect that information. And what you feel makes a thriving, resilient community. So it's kind of broad, but that's really helpful for us to use to decide what changes do we need to make potentially that will help ensure that people are living in a thriving, resilient community based on what they provide to us for information. How have you experienced your community being a good place to live? And has this changed over your time living there? How do you see this changing over the next few decades? Can you create a picture of what a good citizen in your community will look like? One who helps your community be its best. What do you see as some of the most important experiences and skills and capacities for youth to gain before adulthood? So those are the types of things. What do you see as the highest value for K-12 education? So they're broad enough that anyone can answer them. You know, whether it be a student, a staff member, a community member, a parent, but all of that information will then be compiled and would be given to us so that we could, and they would help us identify those important themes. And we could use those themes to actually create our strategic plan.
Matt, I'm willing to bet too that it's, you know, AI Mad Libs, rural, you know, community, this type of income versus urban, you know, wealthy community. There's probably a set of questions geared towards wherever the hell they try to do this testing and stuff like that, because
You would like to think, right?
yeah, that's, and I would
I
hope
mean, but
MIT.
based on some of the questions that you just read, I mean, those are kind of generic questions that anybody with a brain could come up with.
but you probably have to sign a waiver to be part of it.
You know what I'm saying?
To
I mean, I
say
don't
you'll
mean
be
to
open and
sound-
willing and
But I'm also,
whatever.
I would argue that if you're in the Bronx they're not gonna ask about neighborhood and stuff like that. It
Well,
might
why
be
wouldn't they?
blocked.
No, they
I
might.
mean, why wouldn't they?
But the wording would be different, I'm thinking. as
Maybe,
opposed to-
maybe, but it's all the same bottom line.
Okay.
I would say, I don't know if this technology or this process is being used nationwide. This is an organization in Southern Maine that is pushing forward this initiative called 2050.
So we're gonna, I'm sorry, Tony.
I wanted to just kind of look at, I mean, open-ended questions are good because it's not just yes, no, you get more narrative, right?
Correct.
I'm wondering if the AI, and this is a guess, and I would like to know more about it, I think it's a great question, is looking for local patterns, right? So things that we're doing well, things that are common concerns, things that are common dreams, or whatever like that. So I'm hoping that's sort of like the thing that it would pull from having these narrative things together. So it's not just a recording device or something like that. I do want to get to the, like you'd said, we'd kind of put the brakes. This is sort of a different avenue for the strategic planning, which we've been doing up until COVID hit. And could you just talk for a second about, I don't know, just the stuff we were doing beforehand and how we're, I don't know, this feels like we're coming back to something we were doing. How did we use strategic planning in the past?
Well, when I first arrived, back in 2010, we worked as a board to do strategic planning for the first time, and I think in years. And we had hosted an event, I think it was 2011 or 2012.
Something
Right?
like that.
And yeah, remember we were in the gymnasium at the
Yep.
high school.
Yeah.
Again, it was a day and a half. We hired a facilitator. And we spent a lot of time really talking about the importance of technology and building technology. And there were, I think, 7 different goals we pulled together. It was called the educational plan. And we use that educational plan every year to develop administrative goals. Right? Okay, let's use our plan. Let's decide what our focus is going to be on for the year. Then we brought that back to the school board, and the school board talked about it and endorsed it. Over time, we accomplished so many of those items identified in the plan that we stopped using it to the same degree, but at the same time, that's when we entered into our TIF grant. And the TIF grant consumed us. We didn't have time to really engage in any other type of strategic planning or goal setting. That then led into some other changes through the Department of Education that also consumed our time. So slowly we began putting that on the back burner, and some of those items we accomplished, we achieved what we wanted to achieve, but other things became obsolete as the day-to-day demands of education that were dictated by other entities, just other expectations prevented us from getting back to it. So probably in 2019, we began talking about the fact that enough time had passed. We really needed to re-engage and develop another strategic plan and work with our community on that. And that, again, that's when the pandemic hit.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, Teresa.
Do they have a website that we can see, like watch a presentation or anything like that?
No, they have a website, but not, there's no presentation. I mean, we could certainly ask the executive director to speak to the board at the next board meeting. Our hope is to engage in this in October. So if we want to meet that timeline, we just need to be moving the process forward and letting her know whether there's an endorsement or not. But I could certainly ask her to do a presentation.
That would be good, because that's a lot of money. So I think that would be really good.
I did share the link with everyone just because I had it when I just found it, so I sent it, yeah. I knew I had read it.
So my view is strategic plans are kind of expensive. They're budget driven. You get off track because of the budget. Daily events affect it. And if we're interested in paying the cash for the AI piece, I don't know if it's all that worthwhile, frankly. I mean, the questions that you just asked, several of us could come up with a dozen questions, put it out in a Google Doc to the masses and get input.
Yeah, but it's a data analysis after.
I get it, but I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
and you're right, but yeah, the AI piece is what we're really paying for. And I don't know if that's something.
Do we provide the
don't-
topics?
Again, we can offer suggestions on some of the questions, not the topics, but what we're paying for is the fact if we're going to have 240 people participate, they're going to provide the trained facilitators, right? So we're paying for their time to facilitate 40 different meetings. We're paying for their time to take all of the information and to compile it, to provide us with those important themes, the analysis of the data that they've collected, and to provide us like a written conclusion based on all of the data they've collected and analyzed.
Yeah, I know what Matt's saying about the fact that he could probably come up with the same question. I think the benefit of having this system that you're talking about is that it doesn't care what our budget is. It's looking at the needs that it's trying to gather what most people think are the needs that we have to be successful in the 2050s. Didn't give a damn about the budget. It just doesn't care. So it'll come up with something that will hand to us, as I see it. It'll hand us some direction that we could use to finalize, and then it's up to us to determine what we can or cannot afford to do with this. And that's, I know 20,000, that was my first knee jerk, would say $20,000, are you nuts? But the fact is that I can't think of another way to get an unbiased approach. I certainly couldn't sit in there. I could probably answer these questions, but I don't think I could sit there worry about paying my taxes, which is about what just got delivered to us all recently, and how we're going to proceed with it. At least we'll have an idea what is needed.
Well, and I think, Jim, back when we did this before and we hired an outside facilitator, do you remember what we spent? I want to say it was close to $10,000.
I think it was too,
Are
10
you
or
talking about the
12,000.
facilitator for the early start program?
No,
or
this
late
was,
start?
no, this was
No.
before that. And I think it was, yeah, $10,000 or $12,000. It was
Yeah.
Judy Ann, right?
Right.
The other thing that,
What you think that, can I finish one more thing
Sure.
to him?
yeah, sure.
The other benefit that I actually heard you say, Jim, to counter what you were saying, Matt, is by having these independent third-party facilitators, they're going to most likely elicit more honest feedback, because it's not going to be me or one of you or someone else sitting at a table with staff members, right? And asking for their honest input, or some parents. Things could be that their response could be shadowed by who is at the table with them. And if we really do want that honest critique, then having individuals who have no connection to the school district at all could be hugely beneficial to us. I'm sorry, I just wanted
Oh,
to
no,
finish that.
that's fine. And I absolutely, that's kind of where I was going, is that they don't know us. They have nothing to gain or lose by giving us the truth. And the other thing is we spent the money before, and then you have this product. We don't have anybody on staff right now that has the time to dedicate to create such a beast. And so even if we did a 2-day strategic planning where we invite 150 people in, who's going to collate that information and take care of that for us? Chris and then Matt.
So my first thought was, we're gonna spend $20,000 on something that we could, I wouldn't say do ourselves, but we could do a strategic plan. But that leads me to two questions. A, not to the board, but to ask myself, do we have the people and the man and person hours to complete such a study? And B, if we did, would it be of a quality that we would get useful information out of it, or would it be a project that we just said we did? We hit it, here it is, but the data that we compiled wasn't really worthy. What I would like to see from them is, I would actually like to see an analysis or a result from them actually doing this for a school district, so I can see what information that they're providing out of this study. And then I can be like, wow, that'd be really valuable to know about our school district. That'd be really valuable to know about our community. I get the questions and putting all the data together, but I'd kind of like to see an end product from them as an example of what we're paying for. Because then I can make an informed decision, say, yeah, this would be extremely valuable. The output, that's-
Keep in mind, we would be the first who's ever done anything to this extent.
In Maine, you said.
I don't know nationwide. In Maine, we will have been the first. I have no idea whether any other school district is doing this outside of Maine either.
And my question was gonna be based on that, is what does the output look like? Not to step on your toes.
And right, and I'm not against spending this kind of money. Municipalities do it all the time to have a needs study of certain public works or police and facilities and buildings and maintenance, and they're $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 sometimes
Oh, and that's.
to have these studies done. And sometimes they act on them, sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they shelve them, yeah.
That's the money.
No, but that's also an aspect of this that we
That's-
talked about, would be sharing it with businesses, with the towns, with city government and town government as well,
Right.
because everybody can benefit.
And that's
from what
kind of why I
needs.
want to see what kind of product I'm gonna get. Because then if I think it's a valuable product, then I'm all for it. But if it's not a valuable product, then it's kind of another decision to make.
Matt and then Veronica.
So I'm not against a strategic plan. I think it's important. But, you know, if you think about it, it's 20,000. This was not discussed during the budget year at all. I mean, last year during the budget process, we were cutting things and we were literally down to the bone on a number of things. And we're sitting here talking about, I know you said you can pull money together and there may be some grants, but we're talking about $20,000 that we're just gonna throw in at the last minute on a plan that we haven't talked about a strategic plan. We didn't talk about it at all during the budget process. So that's and I'm not doubting, you're right. I have the ability to change my mind. And you made some great points. But my point would be, is it something that we need to spend money on right now, given where we're at with the budget, given where we're at next year's budget with all these ESSER fund issues with teachers, hiring them for 1 year at a time and then having to deal with it next year. I don't know. I know money comes from different pots. I get that, but it's still money. And I mean, this is something that we should have, this probably would have been a wish list item on the budget this year if somebody had brought it up, but nobody brought it up.
We weren't aware of it.
Well, I get it, but my point is,
So,
it's nobody's fault. It's just timing, right? So I think 20K right now, given where we're at, I wouldn't support it. I think it could be helpful, don't get me wrong. Maybe next year. But I don't think that what we're trying to do with the kiddos in the district and the employees and everything that we've got going on with overhead. I don't think that we're going to, if we put it off for another year and have a discussion during the next budget year, I don't think that the buildings are gonna cave in and we're gonna fail miserably if we wait.
Right, I love what Chris said about getting more information on what they've done other places. You said this is the first time in Maine and we would be the first?
to this extent, okay, that they haven't used it for a strategic planning process. I am aware of another school district who has used this more narrowly as a way of eliciting some input from a variety of their students. A concern that the community had, the school district had, they used this technology to gather information to help address a student matter. But that's far more narrow than what we're talking about.
Right.
And I'd like us to be clear on what we want to know, because there are things I know I want to know. I want to know more about any holes which you can clarify a lot, Pat, we can't be operating on all cylinders all the time. I don't think we are. And where are our weaknesses and strengths in this district? Because Becky and I talked once about, I think we're a very good district. I'm sure we could be better. Where are those places, and will this help us find out what we need to do differently? I mean, we don't really, and I do think it's important to know how we're viewed outside of ourselves. I don't like to be led by that totally, because we can be doing a great job and other people don't even know, which is usually true. But as for people moving here, you've said a few people have told you they moved here because they like this district. And I saw something about, something, I don't know where I saw it, Augusta School District supporting all these towns, and it listed Chelsea, Whitefield. I know they have the option to use their high school, but I always wonder, like Dresden, how come they aren't knocking at our doors?
We
There's
have a lot of students who come tuition here from RSU 12, actually.
and what's 12?
Chelsea, Whitefield,
Jefferson.
Not Jefferson, they're not in that anymore, Windsor, but anyways,
Okay.
not to get off topic. but-
All these things, and maybe how our vision of ourselves, well, that's what you're asking, right? How does our vision of ourselves differ with what a lot of the people in the community might think? They may have it wrong, may not know enough, but what are we asking them to help us on?
Right, and it's having users, right? The students are users, they are our customers, thank you, right? Our parents, our staff members, people who are in the intermix. They're here every day, that they can certainly give us some feedback, but Veronica, then Jim, you were next.
So I guess if we, as a board, we really have to decide how important, number one, having a strategic plan is. And if we choose not to go with this company, are we going to say we want Pat and the administration to plan something for this year? Having gone through the last strategic plan in 2011 or whenever it was, sitting in the gym, I think as a district, we need a plan. I think having outside people do it is going to far benefit us than having our people organizing it and putting all that effort into doing that. It is expensive. However, we had that outside company come in and look at how staff was being used. And as an outsider coming in, they were able to notice things that maybe administration had noticed, but aren't able to say because you're in the trenches every day with these people. So I guess for me, I like the idea of being able to see their end product. It doesn't maybe sound like that's going to be an option only because this is so new. I think pushing it back, things in this education and the state and funding, and it's going to be a mess for a while. So saying we need to wait, I get waiting another year to like talk about it with the budget, but I really think we have to decide as a board, is it something we want to pursue this year? And how is the best way to do that to get the most information, to really honest information, and make a decision based on that? I mean, I would almost say we should move forward if we can find the money. I know that that's probably not, a great, people aren't going to be happy about that, but I really think it's important for people to be honest with what they feel our strengths are and our weaknesses are, and doing it with an outside company or group of people, we're going to get better, more honest answers that will help shape our school and prepare us for the future.
Did I understand that you had said that part of this budget this year was $6,000 was set aside for strategic planning? So you had anticipated some sort of a strategic planning for this coming year.
We have talked about a
Mhm.
strategic plan.
Okay, I'm just
But yeah,
clarifying.
and yes,
We
there is.
did
a
have
Answer is
money.
yes, that's what I want.
That has typically been set aside for
Okay.
the board for those types of things, should they occur.
And that having been said, I personally would lean, if we put it to a vote today, I will vote for it, yes. If we could get more clarification, I don't think that they probably have done a lot of school districts, or maybe they have, I doubt it. But I'll bet you that MIT has some documentation that they've been able to glean out of their testing. They didn't just come out of this in the cold
No.
and say, gee, this is a great idea, let's put it out there. They've tested the heck out of it.
And
So let's see if we can get some information, but
Right.
our drop dead date is probably gotta be next meeting. I mean, if we don't agree to it by September, we couldn't even think about starting it in October.
correct, you
I
would
mean,
need to,
so-
you would need to wait another year, and I think I can get some sort of document, an
Okay.
end document, I'm just saying it wouldn't be identical to
Yeah,
what we're seeking, but that's not to say that I can't find a sample of
something
an
that
end
they've got
product.
that they can give us, at least that, so there's some benefit to the process. Maybe it's for a company that makes widgets. I don't care if they figure out a way to make widgets cheaper and faster and not in China or South America. It's in the United States. So those are the things that I'm looking for. And if we can get that, wonderful, but if you have to have a vote tonight, I will vote for it. But if you can wait till next month, I think I'll still vote for it, but I would love to see some more data.
Okay, Matt.
Everyone's made valid points. But if we were to vote for tonight, I would say no, only because I want someone from the company here, to do a roundtable discussion of all the litany of things that we would have before even I read something. Because you might read something and be like, oh, well, that brings up 8 other questions.
It's like convince me.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to do something like this and tout it all over their website that the Gardner or MSAD11 has now done this, and they said it's awesome, well, come here and tell us the left and right limits of what it's gonna do.
So just for clarification, so I want to be really clear that they did not approach us. I heard a presentation about 2050 and went, oh, that sounds really cool. I wonder if we can use that for our strategic planning process as a way of streamlining it. So I just want to be really clear with that.
Which is fine.
But why don't we table this? And I will reach out to the executive director and I will see if she is available to attend our next meeting so that she could do a presentation. She is far more equipped and knowledgeable about this program than I am. And it would be better able to respond to your questions. And I will ask her to try to provide an end product, Chris, so that you have a chance to see what that looks like.
Or and I'm throwing this out there knowing it's impacting everyone's timeline, or a standalone special meeting.
Yes.
So we're not trying to shoehorn it in with whatever the hell is gonna be on the September agenda.
Okay,
For
That's
maybe
exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would work.
okay,
Yep,
all right.
we have a school starts, maybe before school starts.
But if it's something that we adopt in the end, at the end, right?
Yeah.
We cross the finish line. We need to stick to it, okay? It doesn't need to be shelved like most strategic plans.
throw it on.
And I say that knowing that it probably will be.
When you throw it on the
Well,
district.
well,
website.
no, I
We did that last one, wasn't
No,
shelved
be
at
really
all.
clear that
It
the
was
last
never
room
shelved.
was not
It was-
shelved.
No, it was not.
And the plans, the things that we've done over the last 10 years have all been from the strategic plan. So it was not shelved, absolutely not. And I don't believe this one will be either. And the whole goal of it is that it's alive. And that's what we said 10 years ago. We only want to do this if it's a living document so that we do things as we do them, we alter and we make sure that we're remaining current. So I will defend that. Absolutely. It was not a dead document and it was not shelved. And I firmly believe just from meeting with this individual that this would be a good process.
So let me speak to her about August 18th. That's the third Thursday.
Yeah, it is.
And that's always been set aside for a board workshop. So I will see if that will work for her. Does that work for everyone else?
I'm out of town that
Veronica
week.
can't be
Okay.
here.
I will be in California
Okay,
That's when you're going to California. I know we talked about that.
next week.
That's right. Okay.
So the 22nd? Or are we talking the 26th?
18th. Talking the 18th.
well, the
18th.
26th is a Friday. I'm not working on the Friday. I'm sorry.
I was looking at September, never mind. 18 August.
Matt, need
I have the 18th. The 25th is new teacher orientation, that particular day. That week is before teachers begin. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Are you gone, Jim, that entire week?
I'm going almost
I'm gone.
until the beginning of September.
Yeah, if
I'll
we're
be
gonna
back here
have
for the
a,
next, oh, I know, you're gonna have to have it.
okay,
I'll probably, I will listen in.
okay. Okay, does it work for everyone else? I mean, can we get a quorum here?
Sure, I
Yes,
can-
August 18th.
Yeah, August
At
18th.
6:30 or?
Um,
what are we-
I have
I'm
6
open.
o'clock
6.
down.
After I go to the principal's picnic, I can do it.
Okay.
Yes, same here.
No.
I don't know what
should be fine.
time that begins.
It's like 4:30 to 6:30, so we should be good.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, so I'll do 6 o'clock. I will check to see if she's available. I will see if Angela's available to join us. And I'll send out a communication, but it won't, I'm not sure exactly when it will be. As soon as I know, I'll send out a communication.
And you said 6.
Yes, 6 o'clock.
And it'll-
Okay.
It'll be recorded, so I can watch it later.
It will be,
That's if they can make it.
if, right,
Right.
that will work for
That
them.
is probably good watch it that night.
Okay, good. Are we ready to move on?
Yes,
we
we did
still
so
have-
good. Here we go.
I know we still have a list, and I may ask that we modify, adjust the agenda a little bit. I mean, we have, we'll start with the revolving fund application and the updates for Gabe, but then we have Nate who has arrived. I may ask us to move G
Yeah,
up behind after D.
yeah.
So, all right, so I wanted to bring to your attention that we received notification in July, I believe it was, June 30th, that the state is going, the Department of Education has put out the opportunity for what's called a school revolving fund. And so the Department of Education is accepting applications to receive funding for school renovation projects through this fund. The applications are due on October 31st. And it's $10 million is being set aside for priority 1 items. The priority 1 items are indoor air quality improvement, structural roof repair, hazardous material abatement or removal, ADA compliance upgrades, and other health and safety and compliance renovations. So what happens is a portion of each loan will be considered a grant and forgiven. I don't know what the percentage would be. The rest will be paid back either 5 or 10 years with 0 interest. The maximum loan amount is limited to $1 million per school building per priority in any 5-year period. While we have not submitted for a revolving fund. So I'd asked Gabe to kind of speak to you about the possibility of submitting an application, whether you have any interest or not. We've mentioned the abatement that needs to happen in the cafeteria at the high school, right? The asbestos flooring. But also Gabe mentioned our issues with ADA compliance in the locker rooms at the high school.
Yeah,
So,
so I mean, as a lot of you know, there's been locker room issues for quite some time. And that is one thing that, you know, kind of trying to look through the schools. Obviously, high school's the older school in the district. And so that one, you know, that was one of the things, maybe we could look at the locker rooms. Reading down through the sort of the process of this whole piece, it's above what we can do in-house. Somebody would have to be hired as a consultant to put this all together. Like a Black Diamond, somebody like that. There's a lot of paperwork, you need pricing, you need reasoning for everything, like the Easter fund money. So there's a lot, and they basically, right in the beginning of it, it says, hire a consultant, engineer, architect, somebody that can really say, is this a priority one? Is this not a priority one? I mean, even though we apply for it, doesn't mean we're gonna get it. Also, there's a long review process. They kind of finalize it sometime in February is when they'll start handing it out. And as Pat said, not all of it is funded through it. A portion of it is, but then it is a 0% payback over a certain period of time. And they would tell you at that time in February whether they're gonna fund 30% or 70%. They would kind of look at it that way. So locker rooms is one thing that we had looked at a while back. I'm not sure, reading through the information as a priority one, if they would cover all of it or only to bring certain areas up to ADA compliance. So it's kind of vague. I think that's where really we need somebody to look at it. And again, the asbestos, definitely that should fall under health and safety. Something that should definitely be in there. We've done a really good job of keeping up on our roofs, so we have no real roof issues. We just did a bunch of roof work through these. So looking through the buildings, there's not a lot there that we could really use for tier one. Yes, if we were talking tier two, tier three, priority two, priority three, there's a ton of things that we could potentially use it for. But the tier one are the emergency things that if you don't fix them, your school is not going to be habitable. And we're not at that, we're not there.
So we're talking about a project that'll happen next summer?
Right, potentially be next summer. If we were to receive the funding.
Has the floor changed like since I was in school there?
No,
I'm still
it's-
alive and
well,
kicking.
Right, I mean, so it's one section, the floor at the high school, the remaining asbestos flooring is the cafeteria and the hallways. We put floor finish on it, so it encapsulates it. So it's protected, it's not gonna harm anybody. But it's showing major signs of wear and tiles are popping up. That's where it becomes a hazard because of that. And that's why it does. It's one of the last sections in the building that has not been abated. Most everything else in the building has been. That's one of the last pieces. So that would definitely be a project. And with that, it would be like Black Diamond to come in, they would just do a package saying, this is the estimated cost and put together something to submit to the state. Yep.
And again, this came out in June, so we weren't planning on it during the budget process. We hadn't discussed it. And
I did talk to Andrew, there is money in budget that we always set aside for consulting. And this would fall under that.
okay.
I believe there's about 15,000 in there. That's put in there just as an in case.
Right.
Yeah, it's always, I mean, you have to
The risk, yeah.
keep in those little amounts.
We either do the floor or we're gonna end up taking it out of the high. I mean, so it makes
It
sense.
has to be done.
And right,
Period.
has to
Either
be
we pay
done.
100% of it or not,
Right.
right?
What
So
is-
you'd have to start as soon as summer vacation.
Just a sec, there was a question right here.
Sorry, just want to check, did Andrea say anything about paying back $1 million over 10 years? Like what?
No, so that would be something that,
Right.
No,
right, so in February, the state would come back and say, all right, so if the project is $500,000, we're gonna give you 200,000 that is free to you, and you need to come up with the other 300,000. 0% interest over a certain amount of years. So that would be a board decision whether we would want to move forward with it. And if we didn't, then I'm sure the state would look at another project and would reallocate those funds. If we decided not to do that.
Correct. I just didn't want to pass up this potential opportunity without informing you of it.
Right.
And giving you the opportunity to say, why don't you pursue it? Let's consider it. We have again until the end of October. If we are going to hire a consultant, we can't wait until October.
No, we
Of
can't.
course, give them some time. But the only two jobs that we really identified were just the locker rooms, again, at the high school, and the floor in the cafeteria.
How about the walkway between the gymnasium
Catwalk.
and the catwalk?
That doesn't meet
not tier
the
one.
criteria for priority one.
Not safety,
In what regard is that safety?
it falling down?
It, obviously, if Black Diamond is gonna come into the mix, we aren't just gonna look just at
Good.
the project that I'm feeling would fit in. I would hope we would go through and we'll see, because they may find something that I'm not thinking about. And say, yeah, we could write that up, absolutely, that could be something. So it's gonna be part of the conversation, definitely, to see what would fit in.
Keeping in mind $1 million is not going to go very far.
It's not.
Not today.
But
Yeah. Now, do we need to make a decision this evening
no.
to hire a consultant?
No, you can give us the authority to pursue that. You don't need to vote on that. We have, like we said, some funds in, so we can pursue it and get their idea, but I certainly would like your endorsement. It can be unofficial, but is it okay for us to pursue this potential opportunity? And we cannot submit anything without your official vote, right? So we would bring this back to you. So there would be an official vote prior to the October submittal, okay?
I know we've done these before. Do you remember?
I wasn't in my time, but Andrea says she
It's
has
been in my time.
done one of these
Yes. The
before.
revolving
Not in
I'm
my
renovation.
not
time.
sure what it was for. Maybe it was a lighting retrofit too, or something
I
like that.
wonder if that's maybe where we started it with the lighting retrofit,
Could be.
maybe.
Sorry, and that was just before me. That was 10 years.
Yeah, it's been at least that long, yeah.
Okay, so while Gabe is here then, I thought maybe he could give you a brief update on some of the
Cruncher.
summer facility repairs. Just so you know what his department's been working on.
Sure, so we've had a lot of different contractors in the buildings. I'll kind of just start at the high school. Paving, if anybody's driven in, we've done some paving patching. We actually did a little more than we originally had marked out. And we were able to kind of expand some areas, and we had to do some additional patching and completely cutting sections out because they were just so deteriorated, there's nothing left. So the contractor, somebody we hadn't used before, but did a great job. It's Littlefield Paving out of Benton. So they were really great to work with, no problems at all. Again, it was through the Easter funding, so we went out for request for proposals, so. And that process worked well, so we've been doing really good. So they've done paving there, and at the middle school, they've done some paving there also. So we've done some patchwork.
They do Pittston?
So, yep, so the Pittston was part of the additional parking that was over there, so that was all part of that piece. So that's all done too, same company did it, did the additional parking up above. Looks great. We took the 2 lilac trees that were up front and put them against the back of the parking lot area over there, so transplanted them over there.
How many parking spaces did you
We're
gain?
hoping to get at least 12. We haven't marked them out yet. That's the last thing. We're waiting to make sure everything was gonna be seated nicely. We're gonna get everything finalized over there.
Great.
But we're hoping to get at least a dozen parking spots.
Great.
So actually, I'll stay with Pittston. So other things at Pittston that we did over there, a whole new roof on top of the main classroom section of the building. Complete, stripped the old roof, new roof put on. There was a lot to that roof to be done. There's a lot up on the roof. So they are completely done that project there. We also did some drainage work out back where the playground is. There's always been a problem because, I mean, as everybody knows, the school sits here and the road's up here. So everything drains downhill, and then on the other side of it is the playground. So we did a swale and a drainage area between the access road, the school, and the playground. So everything hopefully will start draining around instead of through the playground area. So the last piece of that is to put new chips. So we're gonna take off a layer of the old wood chips and put some new wood chips down. We do have some new I think 1 or 2 pieces of playground equipment that still needs to be installed, so we're gonna install that. That's pretty much it for Pittston. Back to the high school. Roof section at the high school was done, so that's complete. And that was over one of the corridors that go from the cafeteria to Tech Wing. That was just one of the roof sections. That was one of the oldest sections that has never been, well, I say never, it hasn't been redone in 20 years. So that section was redone. We did windows. They started at the high school with 3 schools. They're doing windows in high school, LER, and Riverview. LER's windows are done. They're all in, so if anybody drives by there, there's all new windows. There's one section that put 2 panels of metal back on in front of the cafeteria because they were missing a trim piece. So, but other than that, all new windows are in at LER. So high school, they started. They have a dozen or so windows. They're starting on all the upper ones right now. Try to get those in. So that's there. Let's see, like I said, Riverview, that's the last building for windows that needs to be done. They have started on some of the upper ones and the cafeteria windows there. So the window project is going to push it right up to being done probably the day students walk through the door. They're putting them in as fast as they can, and as fast as they come in, they're putting them in. So there's a lot of windows. Riverview has I think it's 81 windows.
Oh my God.
And that's one of the small schools.
Yeah, right.
So there's a lot of windows there. Here, new roof. This roof is re-roofed. It's a good thing we put a new roof on. There, we had to put quite a few, 21 sheets of plywood. There was a lot of rotted material underneath the shingles. And also which I'm assuming it was the old bell tower that's up on top here. All original boards underneath of it from
Oh, wow.
1830s or sometime, whenever this building was built. But really, there were sections where there were, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches with no board and just shingle. Nothing there. So they took off a lot of the old boards, reboarded, put a new rubber roof on it, and stabilized that whole structure. So it's a good thing we put a roof. We called it well on this one. The other roof is also done out at Helen Thompson over the cafeteria. That section's all done. We're just waiting for the lift to do the clock tower. So that's the last little piece of roofing out at Helen Thompson that needs to be done out there. Middle school staff bathroom is being painted tomorrow.
Nice.
So they will paint it. Electricians are coming in next Tuesday to do the electrical. And then we will set fixtures. And there will be a new staff bathroom on the 2nd floor next to the library.
I feel like that's been here since I started, that we've been trying to do
Get a bathroom.
So we did, we've done most of the work ourselves except for the electrical. So the plumbing and all the other work we've done ourselves. So
Awesome.
yeah, we did it in-house.
Nicely done.
Have you had a hard time finding people to work?
Yep. Still,
Just thought I'd ask.
and even if we do find somebody, a lot of the proposals are so high. There's just been some astronomical pricing. That's one of the reasons we're doing really most everything for that bathroom in-house.
Yeah.
Estimates were really high. Like $10,000 just to do some rough and plumbing.
Serious?
Yeah, it's nuts.
You're fortunate to have your windows.
Yes, so they are Harvey windows. And I will do a shout out to Harvey Windows. They bent over backwards to make sure we were bumped up on the list.
Nice.
They really came through. LERs, they ordered them and they had a truck there less than a week with windows. It wasn't all of them, but it was a huge shipment of windows within 1 week, which is, I mean, definitely unheard of around here for a long time. So it was good. They really stepped up and they knew, you know, we're school district, we needed them. So they said they could meet the challenge, so they did.
Give them a
It was great.
reference then.
Awesome, yeah.
Awesome.
That's, I believe, about it.
That's enough.
Yep. Yeah, we've really been busy, and that's on top of all the regular stuff, the floors and we've been short staff custodial wise. So we've been really bouncing from school to school to get everything covered. So that's been a challenge too, so.
Thank you. And you've done it without a lot of fluff. Yes.
Hey, I know the turf fields had a lot of use this summer. Has there been any maintenance issues?
We haven't. I can actually go over that a little bit. So we did receive the groomer and a drag for the field. I've done it twice. And it's if anybody wants to go over and hop on a golf cart and can just drive around the field and do the manual drag one. It really works well. So it drags the field and just skims over the top and picks up any debris. And it has like a net over it. So you'll drag the whole field and you'll look in there and you'll be like, wow, didn't realize there was, there's been mouthpieces, of course, those little things, net ties, like the kind of bungee ball little thing, kind of, I found a ton of stuff, and it'll even pick up. We found a couple quarters. Somebody must have dropped some change. Picked up the change, so it worked great. And then the other unit is a sweeper, and it's about 8 feet wide. It's pretty big. That's big. And it sweeps and picks up a layer of the infill pellets. So it basically grooms it so the pellets are down an inch or so, and it vibrates the pellets back onto the field behind it. And it just still, again, it keeps the debris in there. It works really, really well. It takes 30-40 minutes maybe to do the field, and you're done. So it works real well. And we've been down working on the field, the end zones. Nate and Chad have helped out. We're doing walkways on the end zones, and we put sonotubes in for a protective net behind the goal areas, so that way nobody gets hit. Yep. So that's still ongoing. We're hopefully going to pour concrete and put the pole bases in next week.
Nice.
Okay.
Excellent. Any other questions? Thank you, Dave. You guys have been busy.
Thank you.
You're a good maestro.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Make sure your staff knows we appreciate all their hard work.
absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank them so much. Yeah. And thank you for keeping at it. Thank you, Gabe.
Yeah.
So can we shift down to G?
Sure.
Have a handout. Came from Nate. So Nate, if you would speak to the board about your proposal.
Thanks for moving me up.
You let Gabe stay there, so.
You're so
Been here for a
comfortable.
while, so.
So I'm here tonight to ask you to consider reinstating freshman boys and girls basketball. If you remember correctly, last year during the budget process, we eliminated JV golf, freshman boys and girls basketball, and JV boys hockey. So since that time, we've had a few opportunities, and we've had some, the grace of our varsity golf coach, who had offered to split the stipend between himself and the JV golf coach. We've been able to bring JV golf back, because that was really the only cut, was the stipend. There's no additional costs at the country club or anything like that. And we've been able to bring back JV boys hockey through the co-op with Waterville and Winslow. We've also got additional savings because we are co-oping with Waterville and Winslow and they are sharing the expenses. So the sheet that you have in front of you kind of outlines those savings. So I thought, because I'm the athletic director and I want to see all of our athletes participate as much as possible. And if we can try to bring back programs before they even get admitted, that would be fantastic. We have a number of freshman boys and girls basketball players that we expect incoming this year. And it's about the development of the entire program. And so with the estimated costs that I see for boys hockey and the savings that I see, we could reinstate freshman boys and girls basketball and still have a savings of around $10,000, $11,000.
Good work.
Thanks.
Hey Nate, how come there's a fee for trainer for hockey, but not for freshman basketball?
Because the freshman basketball trainer would be absorbed by JV and varsity basketball. It would be that, should be there anyway.
Okay.
Will we have enough numbers to form teams, but also are there other schools with enough freshman teams for our kids to play against or not playing against the
Yes.
same?
So as of right now, or I'm gonna go based on last year's numbers, there was every school in the KVAC that we competed against had a boys freshman team. There were some that did not have a girls freshman team. Girls freshman basketball seems to be harder hit than boys freshman basketball. So to answer your question, yes, we would be creative in picking up extra games against some of those schools that have freshman girls, and maybe we only play them once on a regular schedule. We might play them twice or pick up some games against some surrounding JV schools in the Mountain Valley Conference.
I have one question. Are we gonna be able to support this with bus drivers?
As far as I know, according to Gabe and Jeff, we have a full staff of bus drivers, and that there will be no additional busing. That's why there's no additional cost on this.
I know.
So the freshman team in the past, what we've done is we've sent a freshman bus, and then that freshman bus comes back, and then we send a JV and varsity bus. This year, we would send them all on the same bus. Yeah. So there'd be no additional busing costs.
Has Andrea approved these numbers?
I don't think so. I don't think Andrea's seen those numbers. I didn't share that with her.
Okay. That would be my only concern. It's just that everybody.
I got those
everybody's got the
numbers.
same numbers.
I got those numbers from the central office as far as stipends for coaching stipends. The transportation amount was the calculator that Andrea shared with me. The ice vault rental was based on last year's amount that we spent. The officials was increased based on last year's amount plus having some JV games this year, and equipment is what we budgeted for this year. So I think these numbers are pretty close to accurate.
Plus the increase in gas too. You know,
Well, that's part of the transportation calculator that Gabe and Andrea have put together. It calculates, factors all the gas expenses and everything.
Perfect.
Actually, just one more clarifying thing. It seems like the co-op piece with the ice hockey kind of brought funds in for us.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of giving us that leeway or to look at this.
Right.
And that's new this year, right? That's
Yes.
Yeah, and the estimate is that because we're going to be sharing or co-oping the team, Waterville Winslow will pay 50% of the cost. So we'll be bringing in just shy of $19,000 for that. And the projected cost to reinstate freshman basketball, as Nate is stating, it would be a little over 7,600.
And I'm assuming that's all been approved by their boards already. Waterville,
Yes.
Winslow.
Yes.
That was approved before we brought it to you for
That's what I
approval.
thought.
All right. Is there a motion out there?
I make a motion. I'll second the motion.
Okay.
We accept the proposal. And boys and girls basketball.
Freshman
Freshman.
freshman
basketball.
team, great. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Great, motion carries. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Sure, thank you for coming in.
For the rest of your summer.
Thanks, you too.
So you're on the side with me, I'm gonna leave.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Have a good night, Gabe.
All right, so we can go back to E.
Substitute rep.
So I'd like to make a recommendation for substitute rates for 22-23, so that the daily rate would be $120 a day for an individual that just goes in and subs for a day. For uncertified long-term sub, it would be $150 per day. And we identify a long-term sub as 10 or more consecutive days. Certified long-term sub would be paid base pay on the teacher salary scale. That's what we've done for years. And that substitutes for ed tech positions would be paid at the base rate for an ed tech 1, which is roughly $15 an hour. This is not out of line with really what we already have in place.
No. Motion to approve that from someone?
I make a motion
Sure.
that we accept.
The substitute pay rate for
Yes,
22-23 year.
Yes.
And a second, please, Diane. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Excellent.
Jim, how's that in line with when you work in Farmingdale?
Well, I work in Wiscasset and it's more than, I don't know what Wiscasset's gonna do next year, but it's
In line?
very in line with what's going on in the whole
Good.
issue, because you can't find subs.
Nope, it's too hard. Okay, next F, set the hourly tutor rates for
Yeah.
22-23 year.
Thank you. You have not set tutor rates. I don't know the last time you
In a
set tutor
while.
rates.
In our
I
lifetime.
think you set tutor rates before my arrival here.
I never heard of them before.
So, we're having a lot of challenges, difficulties in securing tutors, clearly. So the recommendation after speaking to leadership is that a recommendation is to pay uncertified tutor $30 an hour. And our certified teachers, it would be $40 an hour, and that's really comparable to what they would get for curriculum work or anything along those lines, so.
And do they go into the home and tutor, or they go into the school and tutor?
They do not go into the home unless it's pre-approved and there is a special reason. Tutoring often happens at school, or it can happen at the library. We have tutoring that will happen here. It's usually in a public location.
A motion to approve the new hourly rate.
To motion to approve the hourly tutor rate for the 22-23 school year.
Thank you, Tony, and second by Jim. Any questions or comments further? All those in favor? Great, excellent,
Thank
thanks. Next, board chair, I have nothing to report. Superintendent's report.
Yes, I have 2 items I want to share. One, I want to bring to your attention that our school district has been awarded just shy of $90,000 through a Kennebec County ARP grant, which is the American Rescue Plan. So just as our school district received money, so did the county. So back, I don't remember how long ago, it was in the spring, I think. Sam Quintana, maybe it was in the winter, I don't remember. Sam Quintana, our SRO officer, submitted the grant to the county. And it is for some upgraded radios and to replace a repeater that is on Gardner's 300-foot communications tower. So we're doing this in collaboration with the city of Gardner. That the grant will help replace, like I said, that repeater. And so we need to make sure that we have radios that are compatible with the current infrastructure that's on site. And it's my understanding what this will allow us to do is to better communicate throughout the school district, that it will increase the radius in which we're able to communicate using these radios. So again, it's just shy of $90,000. The full amount has been funded by the county, so we're really excited, and everything should be in place by, I think it's March or April of this coming year. So I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Hey, Pat, do you know, did they mention, is it affiliated with FirstNet? Did they mention that?
They mentioned Tate,
Oh, okay.
TAIT
I know the
communication.
group. Very good. Okay.
Yep.
Excellent.
Then the other thing that I don't have on the agenda, but I just wanted to kind of summarize for you the status of our open positions and the status of staffing. First of all, Martha has had to touch approximately 60 positions this summer. So we have currently 37 new hires to the district, 28 internal transfers. That is probably the most that I have seen here. Current openings. We still have an elementary special ed teacher position available at the Piston Randolph Consolidated School. We have a grade 7 social studies teacher. It's a 1-year position that's still open at the middle school. At the middle school, we have a math learning lab teacher position open. At Helen Thompson, we have a grade 5 teacher position open, although I know she's doing some interviews next week. We also have a grade 4 position open at Helen Thompson. We have a grade 1 position that I just mentioned to you earlier that we haven't been able to fill. The position's been advertised since April. And we have interviewed at least 10 people for that position. And for those that we've offered, they haven't accepted. It's a 1-year position, so they've taken really other positions. So that's why we are having Natalie Brand, our internal candidate, who's going to be earning her degree in education. She's going to shift over and do that. We currently have 10.5 educational technician openings. 6 are in special education. 1 is a district ed tech at Riverview. We have a half-time position at the high school in the learning lab. The pre-K ed tech position at Helen Thompson is open. The Title I math position at Riverview is open, and the librarian at Helen Thompson is open. Helen Thompson is, yeah, they're in need of a lot of positions right now. They're the one school that is definitely struggling with openings. But I spoke to Katie. Katie's pretty optimistic in regards to a couple of these, 2 or 3 of these positions. So we do have 1 bus driver opening. We heard today that tomorrow we'll receive a resignation for 1 head custodian position. We still need a school psychologist, and we still have an opening for a speech and language pathologist. Now we're hiring with a company to provide those services. It's a different company that we had last year, but it is still going to be done remotely. But with this particular company, we can give a 30-day notice. The other company, once we were in for the year, we were in for the year, and they were incredibly expensive, like $30,000 a month. So this company is more affordable, but still, we need another speech pathologist. So if anyone knows of anyone interested out there in those positions, please call us.
Can I ask what the salary is for the speech pathologist?
It's teacher salary, so it would really depend on years of experience.
Okay.
One would think that at this point of the year, we would probably have nibbles on those positions, or they'd be filled already.
Those positions are tough to fill, but you never know. We have
We
hired them
budgeted
at
for
the
those
last minute.
positions, right?
Yes, yes, we have.
Yeah, we can't ask for anything we haven't budgeted for at this point.
Yeah,
So what happens if we go through the entire school year and we don't fill any? Where's that money go?
for any of the positions that I've just outlined.
Let's just say, worst case scenario.
Well, it would be carried, it would be part of the money that we would eventually return to taxpayers to offset.
Okay.
But we can't operate with this many openings.
Oh, I know.
I mean, if we don't
Right.
have teachers to teach, say, grade 5, we're going to merge classrooms, right? And so we're gonna have class sizes of 36, 40. I mean, we
Not in
can't
grade
do that.
Yeah, I'm not
That-
implying that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, that we can't do
No,
that.
no.
Teachers resign.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm hopeful about having folks for the teaching position. I'm not sure about the special ed teacher. Hopefully we'll get a nibble there for Pittston Randolph. I am concerned about the number of ed tech openings.
Pat, what's the best way that we could help to share those? Like, where do we go to see them that we could share them if we wanted to? Or, you know, just because I'm not an educator, so I don't know where I'd go to find where they're posted.
Well, we've just posted, I think, all of the ed tech positions, an advertisement was just created in Indeed.
Okay, great.
So you can go
Okay.
there.
Yep.
I believe Martha will put a lot of the positions on our website, but certainly serving schools.
Right, that's the one. Okay, I never think of the name of it. Thank you.
It's called Serving Schools.
Serving schools,
Serving
yeah.
schools.
Thank you.
So,
Jim,
Is that a serving schools, is that like a headhunter company where you pay them to find somebody, or
It's a nonprofit.
are there any headhunters out there?
I don't know if there are any headhunters
That'd be
out there.
great.
Serving
Indonesia,
schools,
seriously.
serving schools is a service that our school attorneys, Drummond and Woodson, that they provide for any school district around the state that wants to use this posting
openings on.
program.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's less than $1,000 a year
Yeah,
Yeah,
versus Indeed, which is easily
Every
$500,
one.
$600, $700,
Yeah.
$800 a pop.
yeah. That's why you hear all the commercials all the time.
Yeah, they're very expensive,
They
but
are.
they certainly reach a population serving schools does not.
Right.
So for
Okay.
the support staff positions, we've had no choice but to begin advertising in Indeed, just to get the word out. So. And that's all that I have.
Excellent.
That's
That's all.
Well, we have an executive session, yeah, that's it, right?
That's
It's been a
all.
couple hours.
So we have one executive session. Motion to go into executive session to discuss negotiations with the
So moved.
MSAD11 custodians.
So moved.
Second.
There will be a vote coming back.
Yes, there will be a vote
Yes,
coming
there'll be a
out.
vote, so stay tuned.
Can I run to the
And I'm
bathroom?
sorry, who was the second?
It was Matt Lilliebridge. Yes, you may, yeah. All those in favor? Excellent.
Harry, I don't think will be too.
I know, but I love it because now I know the history.
Right.
I know the.
Quite sincerely.
I know.
Oh, boy. We're live. Back from our commercial break. I would like to entertain, please, a motion from the board to ratify the custodial contract retroactive to July 1st for the year, for the next 3 years. Moved by Diane,
Second.
second by Tony. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. That's all for now.
We are adjourned.
We are adjourned.
Voila.
Thank you, everyone.